Hello everybody, this is a short video to present our analysis of the audience participation that we got going through some questions related to strategy delivery during our presentation on connecting project and strategy management through integrated governance. The event report is a link there, and you can access the rest of the content about business integrated governance in the links below. Just to very briefly set the scene, during the presentation we explained a model that people can visualize that connects from business drivers through business purpose to strategy to objectives to delivery entities and back again through a cycle. We suggested that as a model it might sound simple, but when it hits an organization it gets quite messy and complicated, with prioritization challenges, dependency management issues, and a myriad of people and process to try and get this to work through. And we reflected that is it any surprise that strategy delivery is difficult, and the results for strategy delivery documented in many publications are particularly very good. Well, if you'd like to hear that preamble, please find the link to the YouTube video below. So what are the key challenges of strategy delivery that we gathered from our audience on the 11th of October? So we have a model for a strategic process, which you can read again in the big body of knowledge. We have looked at a framework for an organization and how it can cascade those objectives and sub-objectives throughout its structure. And that looks complicated and difficult to set up and manage. And we've got some evidence from various sources which suggests strategy delivery is difficult. But where are the areas of difficulty? Where might we look to discover our issues and solve the problems? There are many. In the big work that we've done, these are roughly the areas we've worked with people on. The first one there, clarity and communications, should be quite straightforward, making sure that strategy is clear and it's well communicated. The second one relates to cascade of objectives and sub-objectives and the establishment of clear accountability and their ongoing managing that accountability. There's prioritization and enablement. If objectives aren't prioritized, how do we decide where we deploy leadership time, funds and resources and make that commitment to an accountable person so they can be held fairly accountable whilst being enabled. The penultimate challenge there is around control, agility and integration. Can we keep on top of progress? Can we change our mind and pivot between things as priorities shift? And do we have all this joined together so that we can see impacts and choices very simply and clearly? And of course, underpinning all this, do we have the information capability and the data sources to allow us to make decisions quickly and easily? There are many challenges that we need to address. So let's explore what your experiences are in some of these areas. The first question we'd ask you to have a think about, therefore, is related to clarifying and communicating strategic objectives effectively. What might guide you in your response are comments on your situation like, do you have a clear purpose, vision and strategy? Is it accessible to everybody? Does everyone understand it? And is it agreed? So is the strategy clear? Has it been communicated effectively? So let's get into it then. We had 5 areas of issue really. The first area was that many organisations believed they had a clear purpose, vision and strategy, but with room for improvement. The challenge seemed to be not necessarily creating the strategy, but communicating it and cascading it effectively. And of course, there's no point in having a strategy unless it is clearly and carefully communicated and cascaded. The impact being, of course, that our activities drifts away from our strategic purpose, and focus is lost, and we spend valuable time and resources doing things that aren't particularly aren't as important as other things. So the proposition then that maybe follows from this is that attendees of the event could perhaps take up the proposition to operate the process that connects from purpose to vision to strategy, and to own that integration and oversight and connection activity. And there are plenty of components in the big operating model, which we'll see next time, around strategy information operating models, organization standards and constraints, governance models, accountability framework, and the proposition for effective leadership. The second area, strategy exists, but not well understood or communicated. Very similar to the first, but in this example, respondents indicated that the strategy doesn't exist, or is not clear, or is outdated, or just not used. And again, having no strategy means there's no coordinated process to take us to the future. And the proposition at the back of this is that attendees are invited to take up the challenge and provide the business support necessary to manage the communication of strategy, and provide assurance on the integrity of how all the cascade parts fit and continue to fit together, using elements of the big operating model, a big framework to achieve that with. This is a really tricky one to challenge. Many respondents said they were unaware of any purpose, vision or strategy, and maybe because it doesn't exist, or because the board uses other ways to express its wishes. But clearly not having a strategy of any kind leaves the organisation a little bit directionless. It might well be able to function and perform, but where's it going? So for businesses where they're very steady state, maybe that's not so much a concern, but for others it's terrifying. So what's our proposition to attendees? Our proposition is, if you can, provide business support to facilitate the strategic process, to build in a strategy operating model, to work with your leadership, to help them communicate strategic intents, and perhaps support them in onboarding with the common practices and tools within purpose, vision and strategy means. The third part of the response analysis referred to multiple or conflicting strategies. Some organisations having too many strategies, or conflicting strategies, leading to confusion. And of course, that's not going to help us drive the organisation forward to a common purpose if we're dealing with related conflict all the time. So the proposition to attendees was to provide the business support to manage the integration of all the strategic elements, and assure the integrity of that cascade, and to maintain that. And again, all the same big model components are there to build this capability with. This was an interesting conclusion. A few organisations apparently are working on their improvement of their strategies and their communication methods. But it seems, though, that a lot of organisations spend a lot of time improving their communication and don't really get to a scenario where they're happy with communication. It seems like communication is being dealt with tactically, not strategically or systematically. So our suggestion is that we step up the approach to communicating strategy from being a tactical thing that happens as the strategy emerges, to being that might be improved with an evolutionary approach, to review how that works, and to build the vital capability needed for strategy delivery, and to use the life cycle within the big model to assess what currently happens, to get consensus on pains, to build a business case for change, and develop a roadmap that can provide capability over a time period. This was yet another interesting set of responses that some organisations felt that their focus on strategy was distracted by operational performance very regularly. Well, for me, this is interesting, because to me, operational performance is a key element of strategy delivery, and that it's not separate from the change or the value creation aspects to strategy delivery. And that if we can operationalize strategy delivery that builds in operational activity too, then we're not going to be conflicted between options or choices between run and change. Effectively, the proposition is to attendees to create a culture where all objectives within strategic themes, all of them, are visible and prioritised, the run and change ones, and to stop separating run and change, pretending that they're completely independent, because they're not. And again, all the big components are there to help us build the capability to achieve that. Okay, this recording only discusses one question. Does your organisation have clear purpose, vision and strategy? We got a lot of responses, and there are some very clear takeaways for folks if they'd like them. It seems that, well, there are many common issues that we've just gone through. There are plenty of responses that we've received to do this analysis on. The themes, I believe, are very clear. And the question is, can you leverage these example themes, example ideas, to help your organisation understand itself? Can you engage key stakeholders to accept their current state? Do these issues we've discussed relate to your organisation? How do they relate? Can you map the current state of your organisation and how it currently looks after its journey from purpose to vision to strategy? And is there a clear operating model behind how that then is driven and sustained through the organisation? And can you, with your organisation, identify some key triggers to help key stakeholders accept and define and agree, I guess, what the key pains are that all the key stakeholders face? Do they see possible gains? And we can use the big framework to offer the potential building blocks for how those gains can be achieved. And can you see and explain what needs to be built to operate the integrated governance to make some of these things go away? So what next? Well, the next question we'll write up and share as soon as we can. There are links to find out more about BIG. You can register for event 2. Event 2 is about a deeper dive on the knowledge around BIG to help you understand it and explain it and see how it fits you a little bit more. And there's an event series, and there's a third event in the series, which will be a very much more of a workshop for those that want to try and work out how to do this within their organisations. So allow me please to offer you business integrated governance. Well, what is it? There are many ways I could describe it. I can describe it from various perspectives, but in a nutshell, business integrated governance is the integration of our purpose into a vision, to the strategy that achieves it, to the delivery that makes it happen. And that has to work through all levels of our organisation across all parts of it, from strategic levels through to management and leadership levels, through all the teams, and we need to connect everything up so that we can make choices to coordinate and achieve what we want to achieve. To reiterate, it has to cover business as usual, valuation and change. So in P3 space, we see strategy delivery as change, as strategy portfolio, strategy program. Well, we need to make sure we align performance of our business as usual, product development, as well as our change capabilities. The big body of knowledge, therefore, has a lot of theory and a lot of examples within it. It explains the key concepts that we need to engage organisations on this. It offers some principles that we can use to test where we are and what we need to make the capabilities that will allow us to run this. It will describe the components. It doesn't just describe theory. It suggests what the work breakdown structure might be, what the product breakdown structure might be for the capability that you need to operate business integrated governance. It offers a life cycle for how to get this on the exec agenda, to build a business case, to develop the enablers, and move on into waves of business change, which include the enablement of people, development of process, configuration of tools, etc., etc., etc.